It is my great pleasure to be with Dr. Bridget Dibb from University of Surrey, who is a health psychologist and researcher on the topic of misophonia. So Bridget, please tell us, how come you became interested in researching on the topic of misophonia, and also tell us a little bit what to expect from your presentation on 2nd of July in London.
Well, thank you. Thank you for the introduction. I'm a health psychologist, and I became interested in misophonia really because I carry out most of my research in people with chronic conditions, and I met somebody with misophonia, and I thought, well, this isn't interesting. I've not heard of this before. And in researching up on it, along with other chronic conditions, I became aware of how little understood it is, how much, we just don't know much. I thought it'd be really interesting to carry out a sort of a well-being study. That's what I do, a lot of well-being and quality of life studies. So I started investigating how to go about doing that, and found that I actually couldn't find a questionnaire that I wanted to use that was suitable for me. I was looking at the impact of misophonia on well-being. So I wanted that sort of questionnaire. So there are some questionnaires out there, but there was nothing that sort of ticked the box that I needed. So this led to several studies where I developed my own questionnaire, and that's what I'm going to be presenting at the conference. I'll present how I developed it and the iterations that we went through in order to understand which aspects were important and how we ended up with our final questionnaire.
And I have actually studied your question. It's a very good questionnaire, and you went through a very comprehensive process to actually develop. How long it took to actually develop the question?
Let's see. It was a good year. So the final study actually involved a longitudinal one, which I may or may not talk about at the conference, because and that took it for well over a year. It was probably 18 months. Yeah, probably 18 months in there or more. But yeah, I would say we probably started in about September of the 1 year, and I was still collecting the follow-up data, a good 18 months later, or finishing collecting data then, yeah.
Fantastic. So it would be great as well too, because in the conference there will be other researchers who may be planning to do interventional studies on misophonia. It would be great to adopt various different tools, including yours, into the clinical trials, because yours clearly, you have done huge amount of work in developing it and validating it among people who actually have misophonia as well, which is fantastic. Are you doing any future plans, like any interventional studies for misophonia?
That is the plan. I haven't started anything like that at the moment. I have some students carrying out some qualitative work, looking at various things, but the actual experience of living with misophonia. So if hopefully I'll be able to write that up soon. It's not quite data analysis isn't quite finished on that, and other. I have another student looking at the partner's experiences of what it's like living with someone with misophonia. And this will all feed in. And also I've got a paper hopefully coming out soon looking at that long-term impact on quality of life and well-being. And that will hopefully point fingers in the right direction of where we may go. As far as interventions go, what might be important and for focusing on those interventions.
Exactly. So I'm glad that you actually are exploring the experience of partners of people with misophonia, because I think among many different conditions, misophonia can have one of the biggest impact and burdens on the partner or other family members who may be triggering the person with misophonia.
Yes. Difficult, isn't it? Yeah, where they might be the trigger, or if not, even just living with somebody who's
being triggered by somebody that you love.
Yeah, very tricky situation. Yeah.
And so in the first day of the conference, we have interventional studies on misophonia and hyperacusis, and audiologist delivered cognitive behavior therapy, which comes from the background of tinnitus and hyperacusis, and then dialectic behavior therapy, and clinical psychologists led CBT for misophonia. And also we have some non-psychological interventions like some physiotherapy interventions, occupational therapy, as well as auditory training, various forms of that, which can be interesting in giving you some ideas for the future interventional studies.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I'll be very interested to hear about those. Yeah, because as you say, they feed in the CBT but even the non-psychological therapy is really interesting. Absolutely.
Lovely. So I look forward to listen to your talk and learn more about the questionnaire, and certainly apply that in the clinics and future research. And thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much.